right, Jan, thanks so much for that report. And to get some perspective on the events over the last 24 hours, we're joined live this morning by Perry Dane, who is a professor of law at Rutgers Camden and an expert on constitutional law. Perry, thanks so much for your time here this morning. Lots to get through. Good morning to you. So firstly, let's start with your reaction about last night's proceedings. So after the chaos and the mayhem that we saw yesterday in the Capitol, several lawmakers still raised objections before the vote, before Congress affirmed Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. Taking a look at this big picture, how will these events, do you think, rank in history?
Well, it's certainly going to be a momentous moment. The Capitol hadn't been breached since the War of 1812. But in terms of the specific events last night, it reaffirms the importance of the orderly transition of authority. It ended up being orderly. It hadn't been orderly in the most violent way for the whole day, but it ended up being orderly. These are ordinarily small rituals that we don't necessarily notice, but this time the legitimacy of and the importance of our constitutional order was reaffirmed in the most dramatic way possible.
Yeah, dramatic to say the least. I think everybody would agree that it should not have taken that to get to this point for this that vote to be affirmed there yesterday. President Trump, meanwhile, releasing a statement this morning saying that now there will be an orderly transition of power on January 20th when Joe Biden is inaugurated. That announcement coming very early this morning. But is it too little too late? We've been waiting for him to say this for weeks now.
Oh, it's way too little and it's way too late. One of our most cherished political tradition is the Graceful Concession, which in this case should have occurred around November 7th. So it's about 2 months too late, and it's certainly too little coming in the middle of the night after the Congress has been through the crisis of yesterday that he largely instigated.
Right. A lot of people say that he incited that violence that we see there yesterday. Now, this morning, several lawmakers are actually calling for President Trump to be removed from office. Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, who represents parts of Montgomery and Berks County in our area, urging Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment. So how likely is that to actually happen? And what else do lawmakers have as an option at this point?
Well, certainly the other option would be impeachment and trial. The problem is there's not much time for that before he leaves office. In principle, he could be impeached after he leaves office, and a conviction at trial would disqualify him from taking office again. The 25th Amendment is certainly an option. The problem is the 25th Amendment is not supposed to be a punishment for misbehavior.
All right, and so you mentioned that. So if he is impeached, if that does happen, that would prevent him from running from office again. And we heard in his statement that he released this morning that he said it was the greatest first term, implying that he may consider running for office again. So I guess we'll have to see how this plays out with Congress if they decide to go ahead with trying to move forward with an impeachment. How likely do you think that is, though?
I don't know if they have the stomach for it, and I don't know if once he leaves office, their memories of this terrible moment will just fade. But as I was saying about the 25th Amendment, it's not supposed to be a punishment. It's supposed to be a way of dealing with incapacity. And that's why it's actually in the hands of the Vice President and the Cabinet, who presumably know best firsthand whether the President is genuinely incapacitated, whether his mental state is such that he really cannot be trusted even for the last 2 weeks of his administration to hold office.
All right, so we'll have to see how that all unfolds. Meanwhile, the U.S. has been seen as a beacon of democracy around the globe. So how does what we saw yesterday impact the United States standing around the world? We were hearing responses from world leaders astonished by what they were watching play out on live television yesterday afternoon.
Well, I don't blame them for being astonished. This is a truly tragic moment. The fact that we came out of it with our heads held up as a nation should reaffirm our standing in the world, but it's going to take a good deal to repair it in the long run. This is not the way the United States political process should proceed, and it's not the way we should be perceived in the world.
Now, how do we move forward from this? We have a new incoming president in less than 2 weeks. Clearly, part of this nation is torn apart at its core. How do we move forward, and how difficult will it be for President-elect Joe Biden to get a handle on all of this as he takes office?
Well, I think he needs to do what he's been doing, which is to try to be a calming voice in contrast to the sort of polarizing force that President Trump has been. Obviously, Trump is not the only cause of our national polarization, but he's been a major contributing factor. And I think President Biden, if he does nothing else, can simply lower the temperature. I think that's certainly one of his goals. And we'll see what happens in the long run. The events of yesterday can either be the slap in the face that it convinces Americans that they have to step back from the brink. That would be a good result. Or it could be a precedent that every 4 years, the losing party can simply continue the fight even after Election Day. And if it's that sort of precedent, then it's an even more terrible moment than it seemed as we were watching the events unfold yesterday.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Well, Perry Dane, thank you so much for your insight. Let's hope that this is a wake-up call for the country. Perry Dane, professor of law at Rutgers, Camden, thank you so much for your time.